Discover the amazing moment when she shared her umbrella unbeknownst to her. He was a millionaire. Rain slashed against the pavement, drumming a chaotic rhythm that matched Olivia's racing thoughts. The diner buzzed with the hum of patrons, but her mind was preoccupied. Her mother's health was deteriorating, and every day felt like a new struggle to keep afloat. The weight of the hospital bills loomed like storm clouds overhead. Her heart twisted tightly with the overwhelming realization. She was trapped in a cycle of sacrificing her own dreams for her mother's care. As she wiped down the counter, her hands trembled slightly, the thought of another bill hanging over them fanning the fires of her anxiety. The bell above the diner's door jingled, and through the foggy window, Olivia caught sight of her old, rusted car parked outside. She felt a pang of urgency. She needed to get her mother's prescriptions before the storm worsened. As the rain began to come down harder, she grabbed her narrow umbrella from behind the counter and stepped outside. Immediately, she spotted Ethan, drenched and standing helplessly just a few feet away, his hair plastered to his forehead. He was strikingly handsome in an everyday sort of way, with an intensity in his eyes that seemed at odds with the chaos around them. Just then, a gust of wind rattled the umbrella in her hand, and she hesitated. "Do you need shelter?" The words slipped out before she could think twice. A surprised smile crept across his face, lighting up the dreary afternoon. "Are you sure?" he asked, glancing back at the downpour. Olivia nodded, compelled by instinct more than logic as she moved toward him. Their arms brushed just slightly, and an unspoken understanding seemed to form between them in that shared moment. For those few seconds, the burdens she carried faded as she offered him her small shield against the rain. It was a simple gesture, yet profound. With the rain battering around them, they exchanged small-talk questions and answers flying quicker than the raindrops splattering on the asphalt. For Olivia, it felt like a breath of fresh air. But even as they conversed, doubt creeped in. She felt the hard edges of reality pressing in. Could she allow herself to open up, to connect with someone, when her responsibility pulled her in the opposite direction? Love felt like a cage meant for others, not for her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Ethan, meanwhile, was drawn to Olivia's spirit, feeling a warmth he hadn't realized he was looking for. As he watched her life unravel beneath the weight of her mother's illness, guilt nestled deep in his chest. What was it worth to him, all his success, when he couldn't connect meaningfully? Yet, the two worlds they inhabited, his wealth against her struggle, loomed like an insurmountable gap. As the sun dipped lower and the rain sputtered out, his mind raced with thoughts of how he could help without revealing who he really was. Olivia needed help, but could she trust someone like him? When Olivia's phone buzzed in her pocket, dread took hold. A call from the hospital sent icy fingers down her spine. The nurse's voice was brisk yet kind, but the words felt like a punch to her gut. Her mother was slipping, and Olivia was left to wonder how far she would go to save her. If she would even allow herself to step outside of the shadows of responsibility, let alone see Ethan again. Beneath the surface of her turbulent thoughts, the unthinkable question loomed: was there room for the unexpected possibility of love in her life while battling her harsh reality? Inside the diner, the familiar smells of coffee and grilled sandwiches filled the air, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling in Olivia's mind. She stood there mechanically, pouring coffee for a table of regulars, but she was elsewhere, lost between the warmth of her brief encounter with Ethan and the cold grip of her responsibilities. Each ringing phone and clatter of dishes was a reminder of the ticking clock, an ever-present reminder of the limited time she had to make decisions that mattered. With every passing moment, the weight in her chest grew heavier. She had promised her mother she would always be there, but at what cost to her own life? Ethan's smile kept replaying in her mind, compelling her to reassess everything she thought she knew about connections. Their conversation had danced along the edges of vulnerability, each shared laughter a beacon of hope in her sometimes dreary life. Yet in the same breath, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that drawing closer to him might complicate her already harrowing existence. While she scrubbed the counter with absent-minded vigor, her thoughts began to shift into a more strategic realm. There had to be a way to reconcile her dreams with her obligations. She had talent. She was an artist at heart, often losing herself in the joyful strokes of a paintbrush. When had she hidden that part of herself? Was it time to reclaim her passion? Perhaps she could find an outlet to sell her work, giving herself the financial security she desperately needed. That evening, as the diner emptied, Olivia resolved to draw again. Supplies were scarce, but she would make do. She collected a few paint tubes and canvases tucked away in a corner of her modest apartment. The act of mixing colors, the rich smell of the paints, and the texture of the canvas grounded her a soothing balm to her frayed nerves. Hours ticked by, and she found herself painting feverishly, the strokes of the brush a form of catharsis. This was who she was, lost in the magic of creation, untethered from the world that was always demanding her attention. Yet, the faces of her motherless doctors crept into her thoughts, dampening her excitement. She wiped her brow and took a step back. What if she had to accept that her art could also be a means to bridge the gap between her financial woes and her dreams? Perhaps it was time to lay bare her heart on the canvas and let others see the myriad of emotions she struggled with. Her reflection in the window caught her off guard, a blend of tired determination and newfound hope. But deep within her, uncertainty brewed like a storm. Ethan suddenly re-entered her mind, a wild card shifting her carefully maintained equilibrium. Would he be able to understand her world, her struggles? Would he still be interested in her, an aspiring artist with little to offer? Outside, the rain softly started again, as if the universe was aligning with her tumultuous thoughts. She glanced at her phone, the screen lighting up. A message from Ethan popped up, reminding her that the possibility of connection was still alive. Felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Ignoring her hesitations, she typed a quick response, thinking of the balance between risk and vulnerability. Maybe it was time to embrace that which frightened her the most. As she hit send, she felt a surge of strength. The uncertainty of her situation might just be the catalyst for her growth, forcing her to confront what she truly wanted, not just for her mother, but for herself. What would Ethan's response be? Would he view her as an equal, or was he a kind stranger ready to walk away? Amid all the swirling questions, one lingered above the rest. Where would this newfound courage lead her next? The moment the notification chimed again, Olivia felt her heart skip. Ethan's message was steady, direct, asking her if she would like to grab coffee the next day. A simple invitation, yet it filled her mind with a whirlwind of implications. She imagined the cafe's soft, warm ambience juxtaposed against her chaotic life, where her mother's illness loomed over her like an unrelenting shadow. Should she accept? This spark of potential connection nudged her toward a path she'd been avoiding. She could almost visualize abandoning the routine of her days to explore something new, something electric. Yet, her responsibilities pulled at her like a weight tied to her ankle. Clarity eluded her as she tossed and turned in bed, weighing the options like stones in a landmine that could explode at any moment. Tomorrow, she finally whispered to herself, a declaration more than a promise. She would go, no matter the possibility of heartbreak or complication. The mere thought of stepping out of her self-imposed confines beckoned with an irresistible allure. The following day felt like a canvas waiting for paint, stretching before her. She dressed carefully, mindful of the image she projected, an outer layer of confidence cloaking the tumult inside. Coffee with Ethan cracked open the door to a future she had been too frightened to approach. As she walked to the cafe, the city buzzed around her, a living entity mirroring her quickening heartbeat. Every sound, every passersby, transformed into a string of possibilities. With each step, she felt the gnawing doubts dissipate, gradually replaced with bold anticipation. Inside the cafe, That aroma of brewing coffee and baked goods enveloped her. She spotted Ethan seated by the window, his smile genuine as she approached. For a moment, everything else faded away. It was just the two of them, sharing space and laughter that danced like flickering flames. "What made you want to come?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. She paused, contemplating her truth. "I guess I realized that I could keep hiding, or I could step forward and take a chance. Life's too short for regrets, right?" His nod propelled her deeper into conversation, their thoughts interweaving like twisted vines. They spoke about aspirations, fears, and the delicate artistry of balance, the very themes haunting Olivia's mind for ages. For the first time, she bared a piece of her soul, her truth spilling forth like bright colors onto a blank canvas. "I've been painting again," she confessed, a light illuminating her eyes. "Such a release. I forgot how much I love creating, how it brings me peace." Ethan leaned forward, anticipation sparkling in his gaze. "You should showcase your work. Maybe even sell a piece or two. You'd be surprised how many people are looking for something real." That simple suggestion struck her, awakening a dormant part of herself. Could she really transform her passion into an endeavor? The thought ignited a fire in her chest, but it quickly faded when the weight of her obligations crashed back into her consciousness. "I can't risk anything right now," she admitted, vulnerability edging her voice. "I have to focus on my mom. She needs me." With that weight laid bare, Olivia realized she was standing at a crossroads. Ethan's presence offered a glimpse of what her life could be, yet the tether to her responsibilities threatened to pull her back into despair. But within her, a stirring began, a realization that maybe she did hold the strength to harness both her art and her obligations. Could she explore the opportunity without losing sight of what mattered most? As the conversation deepened, ideas blossomed, connections formed, dreams floated like clouds waiting to burst forth. Yet, the looming specter of thinking she was never enough loomed as large as ever. What if pursuing her art meant also allowing vulnerability into her life? Would Ethan, with his open spirit, be the bridge leading her to the heart of her passions? An electrifying challenge lay ahead. Would she dare confront her fears head-on to soar into this uncharted territory? And just as Ethan reached for her hand, sealing an unspoken bond of understanding, a truth nestled within her heart became undeniable. It was time to take risks, to challenge everything she thought she knew about love and passion, a time to discover whether embracing her authentic self would gift her freedom or tie her further to obligations she felt didn't belong to her alone. But what lay beyond the allure of art and connection? The reality awaited, still hidden beyond the veil of her apprehensions. The week following her coffee with Ethan was a mosaic of emotions, each day splashed with moments of joy and pangs of guilt. Olivia returned to her routine of caring for her mother, but now there was a flicker of something else interwoven into her days, a yearning. Every brush against the canvas ignited a whisper of potential. Each time her phone chimed a notification, it was tinged with anxiety and hope, wondering if it would be Ethan again. She spent evenings painting, recalling how free she felt talking to him about her work. Yet, as her mother's condition fluctuated, those evenings grew heavy. Olivia found herself oscillating between two worlds. One where her heart soared with creative possibility, and another where she was ensnared in obligations that pulled at her like cords, tighter and tighter. One day, while mixing colors on her palette, Olivia was struck by an epiphany. Why couldn't she blend them as she did with her paints? She didn't have to compartmentalize her life into segregated parts bound by duty or fear. What if she could infuse her artistic pursuits with her responsibilities? Could she create a project to honor her mother while showcasing her work? The thought invigorated her, swirling her ambition with her emotions, a kaleidoscope of purpose. "Mom," she said during one of their quiet afternoons together, her voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty. "I've been thinking about doing a project. It would be about you and your journey." Her mother's eyes sparkled with curiosity, even as fatigue waned in her frame. "What kind of project?" she croaked, pushing through the weariness. "I want to paint our story, to share the love and challenges that have shaped us. It could be a series, A way to express everything we've experienced together, Olivia explained, a surge of excitement propelling her words. Her mother smiled faintly, but Olivia perceived her skepticism. I'm not artistic like you, my dear. What if it falls flat? A comfortable weight settled over Olivia. It won't. If it's true, if it's real, then it can't fail. I'll pour my heart and soul into it, just like I have with everything else. With her mother's hesitant encouragement, Olivia set to work with newfound vigor. The days turned into a blur of creativity and reflection. The canvas transformed into a testament of their shared resilience. As she painted, Olivia often recalled Ethan's words. People were looking for something real. Every brushstroke became a dialogue, allowing her to cope with the duality of her life. One evening while painting, her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan, suggesting another meetup. Olivia's heart raced. Would she tell him about her project? Would she show him the vulnerability she had unearthed? Both thrilling and terrifying. Revealing this side of herself felt like stepping onto a tightrope without a safety net. What if he didn't understand? Would her passion alienate him or, conversely, invite him deeper into her world? Torn between her desire for connection and the fear of rejection, Olivia's resolve began to falter. The night before their meeting, she stood before the mirror, recalling their conversations and feeling the depth of anxiety creeping in. Deep breaths only momentarily calmed her racing thoughts as the weight of her mother's needs pressed on her shoulders. The dual responsibility was relentless, and doubts crept into her mind. What if she shared this personal side and he walked away? What if her art was not enough? Yet, as Olivia contemplated the possibilities, she realized that she had already taken one significant leap. She had already tasted the thrill of connection, however fleeting it felt. Perhaps sharing her project could be another step, an opportunity to bridge the gap between her art and her life. Finally, Olivia resolved that she wouldn't shy away. With clarity breaking through, her mind whirled with ideas. Inspiration surged to present her art, her mother's story, and everything that encapsulated who she was. This was more than just a project. It was a way to integrate her passions with her responsibilities. As she prepared to meet Ethan, the urgency of her decision settled like a weight within her chest. Would this be the moment she stepped into the world of potential, or would it dissolve into another missed opportunity? With her heart fluttering and resolute, Olivia texted Ethan, "I'd love to meet. I have something important to share." Despite the racing thoughts that gnawed at her, anticipation coursed through her veins. What awaited her on that next encounter? Would vulnerability weave a bond or create distance? The answers hung suspended in the air as she stepped into the day, the allure of the unknown spiraling before her. The transformation she craved was within reach, but would she clutch the fate of her dreams, or allow it to slip away? Olivia arrived at the cafe, her pulse quickening as she spotted Ethan at a corner table, a playful smile on his lips. He looked relaxed, completely at ease, while she felt the weight of her project pressing down on her as if it were physically attached to her body. Each step toward him felt heavy yet electric. She was straddling the line between her creative self and the daughter bound by familial obligation. "Hey!" he greeted her, the warmth in his tone melting some of her trepidation. "Hi!" she managed, slipping into the seat across from him. She couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety, the anticipation of the revelation she was about to share. Would it bring them closer or push him away? Their conversation flowed smoothly at first, with laughs sprinkling the dialogue like sunlight breaking through clouds. She spoke about her week, leading up to the fiery moment when her instincts surged. Raw honesty surged up. It was now or never. "Ethan, there's something I've been working on," she began, her voice steadier than her nerves felt. "It's a project that's really close to my heart. It's about my mom and our journey together. How her strength inspires me." His brow furrowed slightly, intrigued but also cautious. "What kind of project?" "I want to create a series of paintings. Each canvas will tell a part of our story. The struggles, the love, the beauty and the chaos," she explained, her words tumbling out, each one unfolding layers she hadn't realized were tightly wound inside her. Ethan leaned forward, genuinely engaged. That sounds incredible, Olivia. Art that deeply connects with personal experience can resonate so much with others. His response lit a flame of optimism in her chest. She was lucidly aware of the sparkle in his eyes, pushing away the shadow of doubt that had lingered. I hope so. I've been scared to share it, though. What if it doesn't measure up? What if it's just sentimental fluff? No art is fluff if it comes from a genuine place. That's what makes it powerful. He reassured her, but the apprehension still lingered in her mind. She felt a surge of gratitude wash over her. But, she hesitated, biting her lip. I worry that being vulnerable could also mean getting hurt. I don't want to scare you away with too much openness. Feels risky. Vulnerability is where the real connection comes from, he said thoughtfully. Trust me. It's refreshing to see someone being authentic. This validation stoked her burgeoning confidence, tinged with personal revelation. Perhaps letting him into her world was an invitation to explore not just her art but a relationship they had barely begun to define. Yet, the stakes felt higher than before. As they spoke, Olivia noticed how the cafe's light shifted, golden rays splattering across the table. It mirrored the warmth blooming in her heart. Perhaps this was the bridging moment she had been seeking, a mingling of her personal life with the aspirations she had so long kept at bay. And what if I offered to help? I have connections, resources that might amplify your project, he suggested, his eyes twinkling with earnestness. Her breath hitched. His words were a lifeline, throwing her idea into larger waters. But vulnerability collided with self-doubt. Did she dare accept his offer? Was she ready to meld her vision with outside influence, or would it strip her of the raw authenticity that made it hers? The cafe hummed softly around them, oblivious to the internal battle swirling in her heart. What if she lost sight of her purpose by seeking his help? Her heart raced as she considered the implications, a swirl of fear and excitement mixing within her. Yet, deep down, she knew this was a crossroads, a chance to stand strong. Not just carry the burdens alone, but open herself to collaboration. I don't know, Ethan. I'll need to think about it, she finally replied, her voice earnest but resolute. The moment felt suspended in time. A realization washed over Olivia. The next steps would be hers to navigate. Art was not just a canvas but also a platform for exploration of who she was becoming. On the brink of a pivotal decision, she locked eyes with him, and the unspoken understanding reached between them would either cement a burgeoning partnership or tear them into uncharted territories. As they left the cafe, the air electric with potential, Olivia felt an urgent question surge within her. Would embracing this new dimension of her art tether her deeper to Ethan or reveal shadows that should remain hidden? With every step, the horizon ahead promised both peril and possibility. She had opened a door, but what lay beyond? The following days were a swirling mix of excitement and trepidation as Olivia dove deeper into the heart of her project. She found herself collecting memories, tapping into a vein of vulnerability she hadn't known existed. Each recollection beckoned her to the easel, where sketches and colors began to translate her experiences into visual narratives. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Those initial strokes of paint felt liberating yet exposed. Every evening, while her friends engaged in casual banter or weekend plans, Olivia remained glued to her canvas, transforming fragments of her mother's strength into something tangible. The smell of turpentine filled the small studio where she worked, mirroring the intensity blossoming within her. Yet, as she sought to navigate this creative maze, Ethan's offer loomed large in her mind. She often imagined what it would be like to accept his help. Would it manifest as a beneficial partnership or silently siphon her authenticity away? Each time the thought occurred, she noticed her determination dip momentarily. Doubts began to gnaw at her. There it was, the question of worth creeping back in. Late one night, after losing herself in the painting, she paused and stared at her latest piece. Splashes of vibrant hues collided with somber shades. It encapsulated her struggles, her fears woven intricately into art. In that moment, an understanding washed over her. The artistic voice emerging from her soul was powerful. It demanded to be heard. Even in this breakthrough, the invitation to collaborate with Ethan pulsed on her mind like a heartbeat. Should she reach out and engage him in this process? Or was it safer to maneuver her path alone? During a walk the following day, Olivia spotted a local gallery showcasing emerging artists. Something about it piqued her curiosity, stirring something deep within her. The sun glinting off the glass windows felt like an omen she had to go in. As she stepped into the cool, quiet space, she marveled at the diversity on display. Each piece bore its own story, a timeline of creativity meshed with emotions. It was inspiring yet daunting. She could feel her pulse quicken again, equal parts fear and aspiration pushing her forward. One painting stood out, a black and white photograph capturing an intimate mother-daughter moment. The raw emotion emanating from it resonated within her, a reminder of the transformative power of storytelling through art. It illuminated a realization. Vulnerability could bond her to others in profound ways. Emerging from the gallery, a spark ignited within her. She felt emboldened to reach out to Ethan. Perhaps his insights could enhance her vision rather than dilute it. When she arrived home, her fingers trembled as she tapped out a message to him, inviting him to meet at a nearby park the next day. Coming to terms with her decisions had never been a linear path. Each twist and turn forced a confrontation with her fears, yet also deepened her connection to her creative self. As night settled in, a potent stillness blanketed her small studio. Olivia caught sight of her latest creation, half finished on the easel, and for the first time, she felt a palpable connection to her art. It was a mosaic of her life, intertwined with her vulnerability and fortitude. Yet, as she stepped back, the looming question felt heavier than before. Would Ethan's addition to her narrative enrich it? Or would it shift the essence she worked so hard to uncover? The next day arrived, saturated with the scent of blooming flowers and fresh potential. Olivia felt her heart race as the meeting time approached, each minute amplified by anticipation. Was she brave enough to display not just her art, but the raw truth of who she was becoming? As she waited, lost in thought, a familiar figure approached, and her stomach tightened with a mix of hope and dread. She had unlocked the door, but now that it was open, would she step inside with Ethan standing beside her, or would the revelations inside lead her to unexpected paths? Olivia's heart pounded erratically as Ethan approached, his effortless smile warming the cool air between them. For a fleeting moment, she felt the familiar pang of uncertainty twist within her, an instinctive urge to retreat, yet her resolve steered her forward. "Hey there," he greeted, pocketing his hands in his jeans. "I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long." She shook her head and gestured towards a nearby bench, nervous energy dancing in her fingertips. "Not at all. I'm glad we could meet." As they settled into the wooden seats, her gaze flickered to the lush surroundings. Vibrant greens and blues dripped around them, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in her mind. "I wanted to talk about your offer," she began, voice steadier than she felt. "What were you thinking?" His candid inquiry propelled her thoughts to the surface, forcing her to confront the very essence of her creative endeavor. "I've been pondering what a collaboration might look like. I guess I just want to ensure that I maintain my vision." Ethan nodded thoughtfully, his brows slightly furrowed. "Absolutely. Your voice is vital. I wouldn't dream of diminishing it. But I can provide a perspective that might refine your approach, help transform this project into something even more impactful." His suggestion beckoned her to consider the possibilities, though skepticism crept in. Would his perspective enrich her work or dilute her authentic experiences? The tension within her escalated as she considered the delicate balance of vulnerability and ambition, each clashing with vibrant force. "What would you envision?" she challenged, curiosity overriding her hesitation. "I could help refine the narrative," Ethan elaborated, leaning slightly closer, attention wholly on her. "Identify the strongest threads in your work and amplify them. We can create something that resonates on a broader level while ensuring your core message shines." For the first time, the notion of collaboration offered a sliver of clarity. Perhaps Ethan could illuminate elements she'd overlooked, and together they could craft something that transcended her individual voice. But as she opened her mouth to agree, Olivia hesitated. The fear of compromise gripped her, an inner voice warning her to tread carefully. I appreciate that, but I also worry that by working together I'll lose control. This project is deeply personal. Ethan leaned back, processing her defensiveness. I understand where you're coming from. It's a big step to invite someone into such an intimate space. But think of it this way. Are you more afraid of losing control or of missing out on an opportunity to take your work to unforeseen heights? His words edged at something buried within her. Could she embrace relinquishing just a bit of control in the pursuit of growth? She glanced around the park, feeling the warmth of sunlight break through the branches overhead. Maybe it isn't about losing control, she admitted slowly, but rather about embracing collaboration without losing myself in the process. Ethan's eyes lit with realization, a subtle encouragement passing between them. That's it. It's not about taking away from your essence. It's about expanding your horizons. It's a leap of faith. The possibilities began to swirl once more, this time tinted with a lighter shade of hope. Could this moment shift the trajectory of her journey? Or would it expose her vulnerabilities in ways she wasn't prepared for? Okay, let us explore this. She relented, a tentative smile breaking through her earlier turmoil. But I need to set some ground rules. It's vital that we keep my original vision intact. Of course, Ethan replied, his tone sincere. Just think of me as a guide. We'll navigate this landscape together. As their conversation deepened, Olivia felt liberation flowing through her, an urge to commit herself to this uncharted territory. Each word exchanged further etched a connection woven with doubt yet brimming with potential. With each passing moment, she neared a significant transformation, but the question loomed larger. Was she truly ready for the journey that lay ahead with Ethan by her side? The realization hit her all at once. Discovery wasn't solely about external collaboration. It demanded confronting her fears and embracing vulnerability. What would becoming a team with Ethan really uncover within her? As they parted ways, Olivia's mind buzzed with new ideas and an impending transformation. But hidden beneath the excitement was an underlying tension. The stakes had never felt so high. She had opened herself up, yet only time would tell what that would reveal. Turning back to her easel that night, the potential for both personal and artistic evolution felt tantalizingly close. Yet could it lead her to a darker end she couldn't foresee? Drenched in twilight, Olivia stood before her easel once more, the brush poised in midair as she struggled to pour her newfound enthusiasm onto the canvas. The sun's retreat painted the sky in soft pastels, a stark contrast to the tumult within her. She could feel the words of Ethan reverberating in her mind, a mixture of excitement and fear coursing through her veins. The idea of collaboration loomed as a tantalizing prospect yet remained fraught with trepidation. Would she find her footing? Or would she flounder in the depths of surrendering control? The vibrant colors of her earlier creations felt muted now, every stroke fed by whispers of doubt and possibilities left unexplored. With a sigh, she dipped the brush into a rich crimson, the color representing passion, yet now symbolizing the fiery tension gripping her. What would it mean to forge this partnership? In a moment of quiet reflection, Olivia recognized that her identity was more than just the images she painted. It was the narratives she crafted, the essence embedded in each brushstroke. As colors blended on the canvas, she found herself oscillating between exhilaration and apprehension. The promise of greater reach, the laughter of an audience, and the validation of her artistry could be hers if she allowed Ethan in. But what if she ended up lost, a mere echo of her own creativity? The fear felt suffocating, yet the flickers of potential continued to spark deep within. That night, she mapped out her thoughts in a small notebook, a stream of consciousness that flowed out in sentences like a river rushing toward freedom. Guidelines began to form amidst her jumbled musings. She needed her core values as her compass through this relational maze. Honesty, integrity, and authenticity became her pillars. Surely, if they built on these tenets, she could safeguard her true voice while welcoming input. Yet amid the cascade of reflections flowed a creeping worry. What if this was one of those too good to be true moments that tossed her into disarray instead of leading her to fulfillment? The images danced before her, each representing moments of triumph tinged with inevitable risk. She closed her eyes, envisioning clashing colors of success and failure. Olivia felt a growing sensation as she considered that while the risk loomed, so too did the possibility of extraordinary growth. Maybe this leap with Ethan could uncover talents she hadn't even realized were dormant within her. What else could her allowable boundaries help reveal? The clock ticked on as she jotted down a vague outline of her project objectives, and in doing so, the excitement of what could be crept back in. She scribbled down the words resilience and adaptation, committing to overcome the anxieties that threatened to hinder her progress. With each turn of her brush on the canvas, she felt a flicker of hope urging her forward, hinting that this wasn't just about art, but also a journey of personal transformation. How could surrender lead not to loss but an unexpected revival of her creative spirit? Decision time was drawing near. She needed to craft not just a piece of art, but a manifesto for her future, guiding both her collaboration with Ethan and her evolution as an artist. The barriers of isolation began to crack, allowing rays of potential light to seep through. How liberating it felt to contemplate unearthing hidden capabilities. As she cleaned her brushes and reflected on this day's tumultuous revelations, a surprising clarity settled over her. Each line she had sketched had been a step toward self-discovery, and amid the uncertainty swirled a newfound ambition. But as she prepared for bed, exhaustion sweeping over her, a nagging thought lingered. Was she ready to unveil all aspects of herself not just to Ethan, but to a broader audience willing to judge her deepest selves? The pause lingered like the last hues of dusk, significant yet unresolved, a prelude to the challenge waiting to unfold. With a final glance at her unfinished canvas, Olivia turned out the light, her heart racing. Tomorrow bore the weight of both opportunity and fear. Would she embrace it fully, or would her hesitation hold her back yet again? The path of self-revelation awaited, and she could either step into it or shy away. This pivotal moment could change everything. The morning light flooded Olivia's studio, illuminating her canvases, some unfinished and others that seemed to whisper the stories of her artistic journey. She paced the small room like a caged bird, anticipation and anxiety racing through her veins. Today marked the beginning of her collaboration with Ethan, a man whose reputation both thrilled and intimidated her. As she brewed her morning coffee, she stared at her reflection in the steam that gathered on the window. Who was she, really? An artist or a novice stepping into the unknown? The questions tugged at her, relentless reminders of the stakes. This partnership could elevate her work into the public's eye, but would it expose her vulnerabilities too? Sipping her coffee, Olivia jolted as she remembered the promises she had made to herself the night before. Resilience, adaptation. She envisioned herself as a bird ready to take flight, her wings painted in colors of tenacity and courage. Was it too late to turn back? Panic fluttered in her stomach, and her thoughts raced. Determined not to let fear paralyze her, Olivia opened her notebook once more, scanning the pages filled with affirmations and outlines of her project objectives. Each line bolstered her courage, and she felt herself rooting deeper into those core values. An hour later, she found herself driving to the cafe where they had agreed to meet. The city buzzed with life around her, but inside, a torrent of doubt pressed against her mind. What if Ethan's vision clashed with hers? What if their ideas morphed into a battleground, diminishing her creative essence? The weight of these possibilities felt like a reminder of every harsh critique she'd ever absorbed. Upon arriving, Olivia spotted Ethan seated at a corner table, a laptop open before him. He appeared engrossed in his work, and the warmth of the cafe seemed to envelop him in an aura of confidence. With each step closer, her heart raced. Was she prepared to share her artistic universe with him? "Hey, you made it!" Ethan's bright voice broke through her reverie. His genuine smile shimmered with vitality, instilling a flicker of reassurance in her heart. They exchanged pleasantries, his enthusiasm soothing some of her edges, as he began to outline their collaborative vision. As he spoke, Olivia noted his passion, each word vibrant, infused with purpose. Then came the moment for Olivia to unveil her own ideas. The colors, textures, and themes she aspired to explore. She hesitated, but the core values she had distilled whispered in her mind. Surrendering to the process, she laid her thoughts bare, voicing her dreams and vulnerabilities intricately. To her surprise, Ethan listened with rapt attention, mulling over her concepts and offering insights that sparked excitement in her chest. Their initial exchange flowed easily, weaving their individual strengths together. Yet, as the discussion deepened, Olivia couldn't shake the gnawing doubt that danced in the periphery of her mind. In between their ideas, an uninvited question began to surface. Was she merely embellishing Ethan's vision, or could she maintain her essence in this collaboration? The coffee cups emptied, and their conversation evolved into something deeper. They spoke about their artistic influences, passages of truth that transcended canvas and colors. Ethan challenged Olivia to delve into parts of her creativity she had cautiously skirted. Each challenge felt electrifying, yet a thread of apprehension remained. As their brainstorming session drew to a close, a revelation washed over Olivia. She was crafting not just an artistic statement but a stronger version of herself. This partnership had the potential to unveil buried talents, a metamorphosis waiting to burst free. With every moment, Olivia felt her insecurities gradually recede, tempered by the transformative power of vulnerability. She was ready to embrace whatever came next, steeled by the awareness that shared creativity could cultivate a narrative richer than solitude could ever offer. Yet, as they began to wrap up their meeting and plan their next steps, an unsettling thought lingered. Was this newfound connection truly reciprocal? Was Ethan as invested in her narrative as she was in his? Or was she merely a stepping stone in his grand design? Her heart raced anew, the scales tilted dangerously between promise and peril. The journey ahead gleamed with potential, but shadows always danced beneath the surface. Today marked a threshold, but the real test was still to come, and the tension demanded to be acknowledged. What hidden depths could they uncover together, and at what cost? The following weeks morphed into a whirlwind of transformative creativity for Olivia. Days melded together as she and Ethan worked tirelessly, passionately throwing paint and ideas onto canvases, exploring the essence of their collaboration. The project blossomed, intertwining their perspectives and forging a vibrant narrative that encapsulated both her story and the support she found in him. Olivia's confidence surged as she painted, unearthing hidden layers of her creativity that had long been buried beneath the weight of her responsibilities. Each stroke of the brush was a declaration of her resilience, an act of reclaiming her identity, not just as a caregiver, but as an artist worthy of recognition. The tension she once felt about sharing her artistic vision began to dissolve, giving way to an exhilarating sense of freedom. During one exhilarating brainstorming session, Ethan proposed a daring idea. Let us create an exhibit that not only showcases your artwork but also shares your mother's story. It can be a multimedia experience, incorporate sketches, handwritten notes, and even audio clips of her narrating her journey. The vision resonated deeply within Olivia. It echoed her own resurgence and allowed her to incorporate her mother's strength and vulnerability into her artistic expression completely. The thought of creating a space where their stories could touch others sparked something inside her. What had started as a daunting challenge transformed into an indelible opportunity for tribute and healing. As they delved into the details, Olivia felt a newfound bond with Ethan, a collaborative synergy that left her invigorated. Her earlier fears about losing control dwindled. Instead, she recognized that this partnership was a bridge, allowing her to embrace depths she had previously avoided. Each meeting revealed fresh insights, and an authentic dialogue began to flourish between them, one that transcended their individual worlds. One evening, as they stood amidst the backdrop of her studio, Ethan leaned against the wall, admiring Olivia's latest piece. The colors mirrored the tumult of emotions she felt, a dance between despair and triumph, all seen through the lens of her journey. This is outstanding, Olivia. You have the power to connect with people on a profound level, he encouraged, the sincerity of his words resonating deeply. It was then that Olivia realized the true magnitude of her evolution. The girl who once felt distant from her dreams was now fully embracing her identity, standing tall with gratitude for the progress she had made. She was not just an artist. She was a storyteller, bringing forth voices through her art, shining a light on her and her mother's shared journey. As the exhibit date approached, anxiety bubbled beneath her excitement. Would people resonate with her story? Would they appreciate the raw honesty woven into her work? But with every brushstroke, Olivia silenced the voices of doubt. Her mother's strength echoed through her art, compelling her forward, determined to witness the fusion of love and vulnerability manifest in the world. Olivia meticulously arranged every piece for the exhibition, transforming the gallery into a hall of lyrics sung through color and light, each canvas a note in a symphony of resilience and determination. And as the evening of the event arrived, her stomach fluttered with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. The gallery buzzed with energy, people conversing and creating connections that felt electric. Suddenly, she spotted her mother entering, fatigued yet radiant, a smile gracing her face. A wave of warmth washed over Olivia. In that moment, she realized that this was not just an exhibit, it was a celebration of their journey, a testament to balm and beauty in the face of adversity. As guests began to engage with her work, their reflections became woven threads that linked her myriad of emotions into a tapestry of shared human experience. Each observation reflected a piece of her vulnerability drawn forth through her artistry. Ethan stood beside her, witnessing the intricate layers of joy and poignancy unfurl. When people expressed how her pieces touched them, Olivia found herself showered with appreciation, an unexpected source of validation reinforcing her growth. The whispers of doubt faded into the background, replaced by applause and connection. At the pinnacle of the exhibition, Olivia turned to Ethan, a sudden clarity radiating from within. "Thank you for pushing me to embrace my truth. Through this project, I found more than just my art. I found myself." His smile brightened in the gallery's glow, a reflection of their shared accomplishment.
No, Olivia.
You did this. You conquered your fears and shared your story. I merely stood by as you unearthed your voice. Amid the evening's warmth, Olivia felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had taken the leap and landed firmly on the ground of authenticity. The responsibility still lingered, a reminder of life's complexities. Yet she had woven resilience through the very fabric of her artistry. As the night unfolded with laughter and connection, Olivia stood tall, a proclamation of her growth and achievement evident in her stance. She was no longer the girl trapped beneath the weight of obligation but rather an accomplished artist, ready to embrace whatever came next. She felt deeply satisfied and fulfilled, solid in her competence, recognized for her talents and the profound stories that her art shared with the world. In a moment of sublime clarity, Olivia vowed to continue sharing her journey, to paint her way forward no matter what the future held. The fire of ambition burned brightly within her, ensuring she would not only honor her commitments but also relentlessly pursue her passions. Now was the moment she would not only celebrate her art, but also invite her mother into a new chapter, intertwining their lives through the touch of each brushstroke. As genuine connections grew in her life, she felt her spirit soar humbled yet empowered, ready to embrace every shadow and shine, expressing herself boldly. This was just the beginning. Don't wait one more second, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Show your support and be part of this journey of personal overcoming. This is the moment.